Thinking about buying a home, but you're not sure if right now is the right time? And should you wait till 2025? Well, in this video, we're going to break down the pros and the cons of what it's like to buy into end of 2024, or should you wait in 2025? And it's not an easy decision to make. Some of these pros and cons are going to be different for other people, but we're going to break it down and stay tuned to the end because I'll give you my personal advice on what I would do in the real estate market. So when you're looking at the real estate market, we've seen home prices increase and hit the peak around 2022. And since then, now in 2024, we've seen home prices come down. And with the home prices coming down, we've also started to see inventory increase. We're at an all-time high amount of inventory since we've seen in 2014. So with additional supply on the market and home prices still coming down, there is kind of that factor in that point where people are wondering, is now the right time? Or will home prices continue to go down? Because economics tells us with the increased supply, we're going to see further decrease in home prices. However, it's a little bit more tricky than that. It's not easy to put a finger on the pulse. Economics says that, but we also have two governments with outside influence happening in the real estate market, where we have the provincial governments with legislation changes and happening in it, which is also increasing some of that supply, but it is also increasing and bringing down some of the home prices. And when we're talking about the home prices, oftentimes we're starting to see a lot of the development properties and development prices starting to come down. However, on the federal side of things, with the softening in interest rates and the reduction in the overnight lending rate, we've seen variable rates start to come down. And the future holds for January until 2025. CIBC is predicting another 1.25% rate drop in the real estate market. And that pressure is going to help increase demand on the properties. And Tiff Macklem himself has said in numerous Bank of Canada meetings when he's announcing the interest rate reductions or what they're doing with the monetary policy, that they're going to expect home prices and demand for homes to increase. And they're factoring that into a lot of their forecasts. So pick and choose what option you look at. We look at other markets, and when you look at the overall economics of the real estate market right now in Canada, we have all-time high amount of immigration coming to Canada with 1.2 million people a year. We're at an all-time high, and where are those people going to live? When you look at other smaller markets, you look at Alberta, you look at Saskatchewan, those home prices right now and cheaper home prices are hot markets right now. There was a home price that, year over year, talking to another real estate agent in Saskatoon, where he saw home prices jump $100,000 from last year to this year. When you're looking at the real estate market, that's not happening currently in Kelowna. However, on the lower end it is. And that's going to potentially filter through on the lower end of the home prices and start at the rental side of things in BC and then filter its way up. Might take a year or two to really get through. Monetary policy doesn't happen very quickly. It takes time. It takes 12 to 18 months for monetary policy to get through into the economy. So when you're looking at this type of thing, you need to really be factoring that in with your overall plan and strategy. So should you be buying a home in 2024? Should you be buying a home in 2025? Should you be buying a home at all? Well, it's going to depend. And we're going to go over some pros and cons of what it's like buying and selling right now in the real estate market, but just focusing right now on the buy. Because if you are buying and selling, well, that's going to be a different question than if you're just buying. And it depends on everybody's individual circumstances. So if you want to get a personalized advice, please reach out, give me a call, and I'd love to hear and work with you. I'm Mark Kuntz here with Selling Kelowna Real Estate Group, and we help home buyers and home sellers decide when is the right time to buy, when is the right time to sell, and work on plans to buy and sell in the same marketplace and reduce overall risk in the marketplace. There are a number of different strategies that we implement to help our clients out. So if you're interested in the real estate market in the Okanagan and whether or not you're going to buy or wait until spring to do buy or sell, reach out, give me a call, shoot me a text message, and I'd love to help you out and give you personalized advice, what might work for you and your family. All right, so pro number one of buying right now is there is an all-time amount of listings on the marketplace. So you do have better negotiation power right now. For the motivated sellers, especially going into the winter months, the people that are left on the market are really the motivated ones that really want to sell. And so you do oftentimes will get more motivation and more negotiation power, especially when these properties haven't had a showing for a month or so, or even 2 months, there is a lot of activity, and they're really appreciative for getting into your home and seeing it. Then also comes to getting an offer on their property. Oftentimes they're going to be willing to work with you. The second pro of buying right now is it gives you more time to build equity. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but there are two types of equity you can build. You have passive appreciation, and that is the market doing what the market does. You also have active appreciation. This is where you can build equity by doing a little bit of renovations. And so you could buy a home and maybe it just needs new flooring, and maybe grandma was living in it and you just need to paint the walls and clean it up a little bit and change the flooring. And then there, boom, there you got some active appreciation in the market. And you can pull that equity out whenever the time is right. And the third pro of buying right now is you have so many options. All right. And this actually might be a con, because having too many options is sometimes not always good as having fewer options, because it's hard to decide which option to take. But knowing your options and dividing up and finding out different buy boxes in different segments. I would buy this property for $500,000 if it meets this criteria. And a different segment could be, I will buy this property, maybe it's worth $700,000, but it has this type of criteria. And waiting and finding, and with the different options out in the marketplace, and finding what will fit different types of boxes, and then that'll help lead you to which options you should be going with. And the number 4 pro of buying right now is variable rates are on the decline right now. And you're also going to see this on the con side of things, so make sure you stay tuned to see what's going to happen. How can interest rates be on the pro and the con side of things? There are pros right now with the variable rates, and the CIBC is announcing about another 1.25% rate reduction in the next by January of 2025. So there is a lot of opportunities right now in the real estate market, and variable rates coming down might help drive up the home prices in the future, especially as we're heading into the spring real estate market. And then number 5 is real estate is a good hedge against inflation. What we've seen in the last few years with inflation and cost of living, everybody's seen the increase, especially at the grocery stores and when you're going out to buy any normal goods that you would normally buy. Inflation essentially is the devalue of the current currency, but home prices and having equity in a home, and this is if you don't currently have equity, having a house and a property is a curb against inflation. As we see inflation increase, oftentimes home prices will also increase with it. So you do have a little bit of a hedge against the inflation, because when you do go to sell, you are recouping some of that cost of the inflation. But as with anything, it's not always rosy, and it's not always a good situation to go ahead with something. With every pros, there's always cons. And with every con, there's always a pro that will go with it. And it depends on what lens you're looking through it and what fits into your different and your personal situation. But number 1 con of buying right now is there's potential for further price drops right now. So we're seeing the governments, different governments working against different governments, and we're seeing on certain sides with restrictions and consumer confidence, and people are leaving British Columbia, or people are leaving Canada. So we're seeing certain sides of it. We might see a continued decrease in home prices, and that is something you'd have to be able to live with. One of the cons to help figure that out is just know your time horizon on when you need to cash out of it. Are you buying right now and hoping to cash out in 2 years and make some money on it? Or is this going to be a home you're going to live in for the next 10 years? Because if real estate is a 5 to 10 year program, and if it's only a 2-year plan cycle for you, then I would suggest keeping your money out of real estate and focusing on something else. But if it is a little bit on the longer side of things, and you can afford some of those price drops, and there's a good opportunity that the prices eventually will correct themselves and increase over the long term. Con number 2, and this goes with the interest rates, and again, it was a pro, but it's also a con, because fixed rates are not driven by the Bank of Canada, and they're driven based on government bonds. And we're seeing in the last 2 weeks, had you gotten in on fixed rate, you would have been a lot better off than what you've seen if you are looking to get into a fixed rate right now. So fixed rates right now are increasing despite variable rates coming down. So there is not always, if you're one of the safe people that wants to lock in, and you probably kicking yourself because you didn't lock in a couple of weeks ago, but that is a situation where that is a con. If you are very risk adverse, that might not be a good opportunity to buy. And the third con, what we have is inflation happening in the real estate market, but also inflation in the overall business sectors. And what this is doing is this is really putting a pressure, especially when money isn't changing hands and money is hard to get. People are going to be laying more people off. And so we're going to start to see probably a lot more mass layoffs. Corporations and businesses are trying to just stay afloat and keep the doors open and the lights on. We're likely going to see some more instability in job sectors. So it depends on how stable your job is. If you are in a sector that isn't really have a stable job, then that might not be a good time to buy, and it might be better just to keep your money on the sidelines and ride it out and keep renting, so you're not tied to a mortgage, potential be underwater without a job on it. All right, so there you have it. It's not an easy decision to make it if you're going to buy or sell, and even if you make the decision today, you're never going to know if it's the right decision until hindsight's 2020. And that's the reason why it's hindsight 2020. The first step is taking that step and deciding and watching this video and deciding, is right now a good time or should you be waiting? And if that sounds like you, pick up that phone, give us a call, reach out. We'd love to help you. And again, it's Mark Coons. We help people like you decide when the right time is to buy and sell in the market. If you're already in the market, for sellers in the marketplace, there is good opportunities here, and we'll touch on that right now in a future video.